Alright, group number 3. You guys are in charge of a very important section of subtracting polynomials, and this is probably the most challenging, so I'm entrusting you guys to make sure you explain this well to your group members, because this is probably the section that students miss the most, so you just got to be careful when you're explaining this to your group mates. When you are subtracting polynomials, you got to do a little bit of adding the opposite. So let's go ahead and start with this first example. We've got a polynomial minus another polynomial. And it's really important, anytime you're adding or subtracting polynomials, you always have to look for those like terms, which we are familiar with. We know how to do that. This one's already nicely laid out for you. But when you are subtracting, it's really important to add the opposite, otherwise it's going to completely mess up your problem. So since it's subtraction, I'm going to add, so I'm going to change it to an addition sign. And because I do that, I have to change everything after that sign to the opposite. So instead of a positive 11x, I'm going to change it to a negative, Instead of a positive 5y, I'm going to change it to a negative 5y. And instead of a minus z, I'm going to change it to a plus z. So the whole purpose of this is because subtracting just kind of gets a little tricky, so this makes it a little bit more clear about what your problem is. So we're going to add the opposite. Okay? So now it's super simple. So 10x plus a negative 11x would give you a negative 1x. 9y plus a negative 5y would give you a positive 4y. Notice how I have to have a sign there. And then 3z plus 1z would give you plus 4z. So it's not a polynomial without these signs, so make sure you don't just write the numbers. You're writing plus or minus, whatever it is. Okay? Alright, let's look to one that's a little bit more challenging, a little horizontal type problem. So this again is a subtraction problem. Whenever you see that, it's very important to add the opposite. So this is going to change to add. I'm going to add the opposite. And everything after that sign is going to have to change to the opposite. So instead of a positive 2m, this is going to be a negative 2m. And instead of a negative 3, it's going to be a positive 3. Okay? Notice how I'm only changing the terms to the right. So now we can go ahead and add them up. So you got to match up your like terms. So I have 3m plus a negative 2m would give you 1m. This term, positive 7n squared, doesn't have anything that would combine with it. So I'm just going to bring it down. And then a positive 5 plus 3 would give you a positive 8. Alright? So again, make sure you have your signs in between, adding the opposite, and you're only changing everything that's to the right of your sign. Okay, so go very slow when you're explaining this to your group members. Make sure they understand that this is probably the most challenging section. Alright, let me know if you need help. Good luck!